Welcome to our episode of Bargain Saturdays, and this one actually might go up on a Saturday, which is kind of unusual now, isn't it? But yeah, this week I'm going to talk about Gremlins 2, the new batch. Sadly, it's not as good as the original film, but I suppose that's true for most sequels. They just can't measure up. They lose some of that magic, when you're the follow-up film. And don't get me wrong, there are a few sequels that surpass the original, but Gremlins 2, the new batch, is definitely not one of them. And for the curious, no, that's not all the Mogwais I own. I still have this one. Yep, it has a feed me squeaker in there. At least that's what I always took it to sound like. Because, the Gremlins in the first film, when they start as Mogwais, they're all like, feed me, feed me, feed me. Late at night one time, and Billy does it, and they transform. And if you can't tell, yeah, I like the first film a lot better. Ironically enough, my parents were dating when the first film came out. I guess that dates me a bit too, doesn't it? Sort of like how Hulk Hogan's appearance in this one, the second one, dates him a lot, because let's face it, Hulk Hogan's not really all that relevant nowadays, is he? So the fact he pops up and challenges the Grimsters to a fight if they don't put the movie back on, really shows how old this second movie really is. I don't even have to look at its date to know, it's quite up there in years nowadays. The sad part of age, I suppose. All the movies you liked as a kid have gotten a lot older, and a lot of them are now dated and no longer relevant at all. But yeah, I think if I had to pick some of the things that hurt the second film, it's the fact that they're confined to one building basically the entire film. Don't get me wrong, this skyscraper has all kinds of interesting things going on for it, with like a lab that works on diseases and all kinds of other weird stuff in there. So you get the electric gremlin and the bat gremlin, which makes a reference to Warner Brothers when it busts out of the building and makes the bat symbol and all that stuff. So you got that sort of stuff going for it. At the same time, the film's not really played straight like the first film was, where you got the cute, innocent little Mogwai that turns into these vicious, horrible-looking monsters that just ravage an entire town and scare the crap out of the townsfolk and do cause all kinds of damage. And no one believes Billy when he warns them about them coming. So they just run amok, setting things on fire, messing with streetlights and all that stuff. In the second film, they're confined to one building. And no matter how many interesting things you can come up with for them to do in there, they're still not going to be able to unleash the sort of mayhem they did in the first film, which definitely has its own sort of appeal too, Watching them just run amok all over the place and no one's able to really stop them because they're just that powerful, that small, and that fast. Their appearance is just devastating. So it's just sad you don't get that in the second film. It's understandable. If you unleash them properly inside of a city, I can only imagine how much havoc the Gremlins could cause in a matter of days, if not weeks. Especially at the rate they can reproduce, from being just hit with some water, all of a sudden you got like 10 of them running around. It would be mass mayhem and panic within hours of them getting out. So having them not confined to one building would have been, basically there's no way this film could end in a believable way. So having them confined to one building was necessary, plot-wise, but it still hurts the film because, there's just not that much damage going on. And then you have the other problem. The second film is more of a parody of the first, when they point out the ridiculousness of the don't eat after midnight rule and go into asking detailed questions about it, and you're like, I don't know. What if it did get a little something stuck in its teeth and swallowed it after midnight? Would it then turn into a gremlin? Who knows, okay? Does it really matter? The whole three rules things was to set up a simple premise for what not to do with Gizmo, and they managed to completely blow it. You don't really need to have a real detailed thought about the rules. It doesn't really matter that much. If I want to talk about nitpicks in the first one, why not talk about the scene where Gizmo's driving around a remote-control car, which makes absolutely no sense, because considering he's driving it like it's an actual vehicle. Seems like a better nitpick to go after. There's also a scene where they have a reviewer discussing some of the actual responses to the film, the original film when it was released, which is kind of funny. So yeah, the second film is more of a parody, and it just doesn't have the magic of the first one. Not by a long shot. Not a bad film if you're looking for some cheap laughs, but it's definitely not a classic film by any stretch of the imagination. It's definitely not one that you're going to want to come back to again and again and again. Unlike the first film, where I could definitely enjoy sitting down watching that one again. The second one, well, it starts to grow old after a while. You'll see the same joke so many times where it starts to grow a bit, stale. Sort of like Billy's boss's attempts to get in his pants. That grows old after the first time you see it. Till next time, then. See ya.
What does he mean where he'll be going?
We can't let them get away. All they have to do is to eat 3 or 4 children, and there'd be the most appalling publicity.